And here we go. Welcome to Wargroove. I promised you guys I would upload my matches in the Groove of War World Tournament, Groove of War 5. A little bit out of order, but I'm going to start with my best of 3 set against World Champion Shu. Shu eventually went on to win the World Championship in Groove of War 5. Here are my 3 matches against Shu. Just to give you guys a little bit of background, Shu and I were both very good at different maps. I was good at Dendritic and Open Season, and Shu publicly said that they hated those maps, but Shu's very good on Headlands and Sidewinder. Neither of us wanted to play on Safe Haven. So we both knew that it would probably come down to Sidewinder versus Open Season, depending on who won the coin flip. Shu won the coin flip, so we'd be playing on Sidewinder twice and Open Season once. Let's see if I was able to beat Shu at their awesome map, and if Shu was able to beat me at mine. Well, you kind of know Shu won the World Championship, but just pretend. Oh, and by the way, guys, I have this footage thanks to the Groove of War YouTube. But because I figure you want some background sound, I'm just going to have Wargroove open and play the jukebox meanwhile, so everything will be secret music. Let's do this. Game 1, Sneaky Dragon versus Shu, semifinals in the world. Alright, so we decided to both go Koji, and this was a little bit intentional. Shu and I both left Koji unbanned, predicting that we would be able to win in a Koji fight. Now, I had practiced a little bit of Sidewinder right before this match, but I hadn't played a lot of Sidewinder before this. In fact, Sidewinder was the one map in Regionals where I figured I was going on anyway, so I just didn't practice it at all. I thought I had a good opening prepped against Shu, but as you'll notice in this match, my opening was a little bit substandard. They were able to get some more villages and better mage timings. So the important thing to note in Sidewinder here, and let me see if you guys can see my mouse. Yep, you can. No, wait, that's the screen mouse. That's not my mouse. Alright, so if you take a look at the top left, you'll see that Shu has already begun capturing their villages in the corner, and in the bottom right, I need to start capturing those villages. And the corner villages are really what the entire fight in Sidewinder is all about. Those corner villages will give you the ecom advantage you need over your opponent to build more powerful units, dragons, and giants, and without them, you'll just start falling behind. Mages are also super important on this map. So you're going to see both of us spamming a lot of mages to deal with the air threat and take advantage of all the dense terrain. Now, this video, unlike some of the videos on the Groove of War YouTube channel, was actually recorded live. The whole thing is about an hour long because that's how long it took me and Shu to fight each other. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit so that you guys can watch this at the speed you're used to with commentary on my channel, but this will be a little bit of a chiller video. With some more dense commentary from me. So what I was thinking here is that I could get my commander out first and potentially win a commander fight against Shu. That was my entire strategy right there. But you'll notice that there's a bit of difference with the corner villages. Shu's mage is going to attack mine while it's at 5 health. My mage can only attack Shu's while it will be at a little bit higher health, 6 health. So you see it's at 5 right now, but then on Shu's turn it'll jump to 6. Shu captured the village early. That's one of the strengths of second player on this map. You can get that village a turn earlier without really sacrificing anything, and as a result the mage would have to risk a coin flip to try to decapture it, whereas Shu can decapture mine for free. That's going to be a really big deal, and it's one of the advantages of second player on Sidewinder. Now, if you take a look at Shu's commander doesn't really have anywhere to heal right now, so that's my one advantage. I decided to try to counteract the STA, the second player advantage, with a very aggressive commander opening. But because I did that, if you look sort of toward the left of the map, I have that one village that's still neutral. My village that this mage can contest on the right, the bottom right corner, they'll be able to flip it, and I can't flip Shu's. So I'm missing out on a bit of econ for some early co-pressure. Now we're going to take a look at what Shu does. Another thing I did differently is I went double pike to try to defend a little bit more. and also just because I didn't have a ton of money. But pikes are really slow on this map, and I think that might have been a mistake, because the early knight pressure is just so good, even if you have to sacrifice something for it. And again, like, P2 can just build a knight without having to worry. There's some interesting build timings that are very, very good with P2, and you have to find a way to mirror them as P1, which I don't believe I did in this match. You're taking a look at this knight, on its next turn, it'll be able to crit my bottommost corner village and take it away from me. So Shu is going to be able to flip that village, whereas I have no means of flipping Shu's village, and that's going to set me back in terms of economy. Shu had to retreat their commander to heal, and they're only at 7% health instead of my 9%, so I've got a really nice commander position here, but ultimately in terms of villages, I'm really falling behind, and I had to capture one of the center villages to try to even out that economy, but that's just a target Shu can hit later to charge Groove. I didn't really want to capture that village, and unfortunately now I'm stuck with it. Now Shu's taking a little bit longer to decide what to build here, and if you remember, Shu is the stall lord. They play really, really fast. They're still playing faster than me, but ultimately they took a little bit of time there, partly because now they have my commander to worry about. Am I going to go for some kind of rush strategy? I might have been worrying about that. So I build my thief, but Shu's thief will activate first, which will give them a big economic advantage. My thief is a turn behind. So I just send my swords forward to try to retake these villages, grab my tower, move my pike forward, and try to hold ground here to not let this mage do too much damage. But unfortunately, the mage can just keep flipping that village and deal 100 gold worth of damage to me every single turn, which might not sound like a lot. I mean, it's just decapping a village. I get it back, right? But remember, this is the semifinals in the world. That small advantage can snowball into a big advantage. That's the level we're playing at here. Now that I say it out loud, it almost doesn't even feel real, right? Semifinals in the world. How did that happen? I have absolutely no idea, guys. I have no idea. I started out as, like, a complete noob at this game. I've probably said that so many times on this channel, too. You can, like, watch my old videos and just watch me fumbling around and, like, winning a game out of nowhere with, like, a 3 health knight because I set up this crazy trap, but I was really losing. I've come a long way since then. It's pretty cool. So, back to me fighting the person who ended up winning the World Championship. I finally build that knight, but I'm a turn late there. I think I should have made it one turn before, even if I couldn't have made a pike. I think it would have been worth it. Now Shu has, like, tons of money. Their knight comes in, takes out my village. This mage goes back to grab the village, and I have no way to take that back. So now Shu has 2 villages on both corners. And because they're P2, with the classic thief timing, they just get an early steal. You really need to sort of do a gimmick to steal thief timing in order to take it away as P1. This is another one of the reasons there's slight STA on this map. Or slight or heavy, depending on how you say it. Actually, Zero ended up playing Shu in the finals, and beat Shu as player 1 several times, but even after that, Shu still says there's STA on this map, because it's just the mage timings, the knight timings, the thief timings if you don't send your commander all the way around, and like a couple village flip timings. So because I delayed my knight, and I kept losing economy to Shu, Shu was able to go for a very, very safe dragon here, also by the fact that they just built all swords after the mage knight. And this is one of the most powerful things you can do as player 2. I did not expect it at all. This took me completely by surprise, the early dragon timing, because I'm 400 gold. Actually, that was perfect timing. Thank you, past me. Or past Barret, I guess. 400 gold behind at this point, so my opponent can build a powerful dragon. I can't. And it's not like I messed up the opening, but there's just these small optimizations that make a huge difference when you're playing at the world scale. This is a good opening, it's just not good enough to fight into P2 on Sidewinder. So Shu actually crosses onto the mountain, gets another heal, and now they're ready to contend with me. I can't kill that sword, I can't attack into Shu. If I do, I might get surrounded by the sword. There's the dragon that can just threaten me off the road and kill me if I stand on the road. So my commander is basically forced off, and because of that dragon, I don't know where I can put my knight. Can I really take that village back in the corner? Kind of have to, but I have to retreat my mage. The dragon can't mess with it. It's a whole thing. That dragon is threatening so much of the map. I have to be really, really careful and do this right. I end up trying to send a lot of things forward and chain them to my mage, so if the dragon kills any of them, the mage can get revenge for me. And I start pushing out a little bit, but I'm still pretty far down on economy, because even though I have that one village, Shu has 2 villages on each corner. And I only just now captured that like middle-ish side village with a pike, so I'm really falling behind, and Shu's thief will deposit first. There's no way around that. I'm describing these things as like major disadvantages. You've got to remember, in a casual match, we might be even right now, but in a world tournament, these small disadvantages really, really come to hurt you, and Shu is a master player who can definitely take full advantage of them. So I build a second mage near my other front, so that if the dragon were to go to the south, I have an answer for it by then. And I've almost sort of caught up on economy a little bit by closing that village and holding this other one, but I'm getting forced off the center now because of the dragon, because of the commander. And the money you think you have at the end of your turn isn't your income. Your income at the end of your opponent's turn, that's your real income, guys. So like I said, this game actually took an hour. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. So I just move my commander down out of the dragon range, and Shu chases it with the dragon and hits this village. Doesn't get the flip, doesn't kill it. But that's actually bad for me, not bad for Shu, because Shu can spend 100 gold to heal that dragon, whereas for me, I can't, Shu's going to get Groove from hitting it with their commander, and I can't stop that. So I actually wish the dragon had decapped that village. That was an unfortunate roll for me. And in the bottom, the knight was able to flip another village because I started sending my pikes to the center to try to defend the center. It was probably a mistake on my part. I should have just tried to recover economy down in the corner, and this is going to put Shu further and further ahead in terms of economy, making it very difficult for me to catch up. And these pikes are so slow, there's not a lot they can do. So I definitely think that the pikes were a mistake here. I should have gone for a more aggressive approach, maybe a cheaper approach, built a knight sooner. And ultimately, in game 2 we play on Sidewinder, you'll see me go for a completely different option here. So Shu just has a bunch of swords, but because they have a dragon, it doesn't matter. My commander can't kill any of them if it requires me to stand on road. I'll just instantly die, so all these swords are protected by the dragon. And there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can attack into them with. Even if I attack into them with something cheap like my own sword, Koji can finish it off. And I can't afford a dragon. This is only turn 6. This is still the opening, guys. Just coming out of the opening, I'm ridiculously behind against Shu. Alright, so I finally go for that village there, but I don't cap it, partly because... Actually, if memory serves, let's see, do I not cap it? Yeah, I don't think I go for the cap, because I want my mage to be sort of in this theater over here. You see, so it can like deal with the dragon, and I can keep my commander nearby this village. Otherwise, the dragon could just hit me for free. I'm going to bring up this other mage, and now my pikes can sort of threaten stuff over here, but I've got to start retaking these villages or I'm in big trouble. I'm just spamming mages now to try to deal with this dragon because I don't really have a ton of money. I use the pike to decap this village, but I can't take it back. So Shu's going to remain in an econ lead against me and have ultimately a much better army. Although right now I have mages and a dog against Shu's swords, but the dragon really just makes a difference. I build a harpy because it can also hit dragons, and Shu only has one mage, so I need to start putting air onto the field, and it'll threaten the knight. So it's a cheap option. I didn't want to make a harpy here because it really falls off and becomes completely useless in the late game, but I kind of just had to. I was forced into it by the economy difference. So this is one of those games where Shu was just winning from the opening. They took advantage of... I had a good opening, a solid opening. This is an opening that would work all the way through regionals. Like, this is a very good Sidewinder opening, but it wasn't enough against Shu's perfected opening combined with STA. I just couldn't deal with it. I couldn't take the villages in time. And that really makes a big difference on a map like this. Map preparedness is huge, and Shu was way more prepared. and just had a much better opening strategy here. Alright, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. So Shu moves towards the center and decaps that village, giving them a nice healthy amount of groove, which is really scary, because with Koji Groove, the first one to get groove has a huge advantage of lethal potential over your opponent, so you can stop them from getting more groove. You have air blockers. It's another reason I started spamming the mages and built the Harpy, so I have things to kill the Koji bombs with. And now I'm just trying to figure out how I can retake these villages, while Shu built a second dragon, and I don't even have enough mages to deal with this, because I still don't have these villages here. I don't have mage control in this theater, and like, if I send my mage to walk back, can it get hit by something? Can the two dragons just eat my mage and then proceed to kill everything else? I'm in big trouble here. And ultimately, the reason Shu is spamming dragons and I'm not, you guys know I love dragons, but I couldn't afford any. I'm losing from the opening, and the entire match is basically me playing with less money than Shu and just trying to keep things even. So I'm going to skip ahead. I make a big move here with the Harpy and the swords, and I do a lot of damage to the mage, get this village back. I have a nice big explosive push here, and I'm able to grab this village, even though I might lose the sword to the dragon. I'm just doing everything in my power to try to recover economy, and build a big force of mages so that I can fight into Shu. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit more, because I take a little while on this turn. So now Shu just pushes forward and takes over the center of the map, and with the center control, because with dragons there's nothing I can do to contest Shu's center control, they're able to take over the center villages and get even more economy. So even though I took this corner village back, I'm still losing effectively, because Shu can now trade those corner villages for center villages, and there's nothing I can do about it. Shu counterattacks with the knight, even though it's going to get some heavy damage from my Harpy and my pikes. Ultimately, Shu is just stalling here, because the trades will come out about even. Shu might even come out ahead on unit count, and it will force me to keep fighting random units and not take back the villages, which is what I need to do. So Shu can stall while his massive army of pikes and swords pushes to the center of the map, which will just threaten my stronghold and completely prevent me from being able to do anything. So I'm in a bit of trouble here, and I've got to find a way to get rid of that knight, get rid of that mage, take these villages back, and start pushing out. It's the only way I have a hope of winning this game. So I send in the pike, I send in the Harpy, I kill it, I get rid of the knight, but I still don't have the villages. And that mage could come in and kill my Harpy, and then I'll have to counter kill it with the pikes. Ultimately, I'm still just trading here, about even with Shu, and I'm not getting my villages back, which is really bad. I start pushing all of the mages onto the mountain front here, to try to get a nice, strong defensive position that Shu can't attack into. So if these swords go in, I can just wreck them with mage crits and all kinds of stuff. I put the Harpy because Shu doesn't have anti-air yet. They've just built these mages here. So my air units are still sort of immortal for right now. I can use that as a blocker and try to stall a little bit around the center village, and as long as Koji can stand there, Shu can't capture it, because otherwise I can smack it for groove. I've still got to get this back and deal with this dragon and push it out of the way, so I send up my mage there. It's amazing that, like, I'm like in real time narrating what I did in the past, even though I've completely forgotten it, because it's like my mind is just like, this is what I would do, that's what I did. Anyway, guys, so right now, you know what, I'm narrating this in retrospect. I just realized maybe it'll be more exciting for you guys if I narrate it as if this were happening live. So I could switch it up a little bit, but this was a past match. So, alright, I'm gonna go back to my previous style then, and pretend like, you know, pretend like the match is happening now. And Sneaky is building a whole bunch of mages and just holding in there. Where are they gonna put Koji? Oh, they'll retreat Koji, but still in range to smack that village, hopefully stopping Koji from taking it. That dragon really can't go in with all those mages, and Sneaky making sure not to give the enemy Koji anything else to smack. Sneaky's really trying hard to make the corner villages even on econ, and finally with 2 on the northwest and 1 in the southeast, Sneaky has even on the corner villages for the first time, but unfortunately Shu can keep fighting Sneaky on the corner villages. Shu's got multiple dragons, Shu's got center control, Shu continues to take the econ lead in this match. Sneaky goes for an archer and starts bringing the thief forward to try to maybe do something to get the econ lead back. And the dragons just kind of dive in on Sneaky's mage, making it far too weak to be able to hurt them, giving them basically some free kills on the left side. She was just pushing forward with all these pikes and swords and basically winning every front, and there's not a lot Sneaky can do. The opening was just too heavy in Shu's favor, and now Shu has position and a better army comp. Their only weakness is the lack of mages, and Shu started to pump those out as well. And once Shu's mages get into position, Shu will just be able to completely dominate this match. Now I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Alright, so Sneaky finally killed that mage-knight combo that's been pestering the southeast, and can maybe, hopefully, maybe start to take back these corner villages in the southeast. But Sneaky also has to find a way to deal with these dragons that are eating the northwest corner villages. Ultimately, Sneaky decides to retreat and heal a mage. He's going to bring another mage forward just to try to stop these dragons from taking over the corner economy. Knight goes in. We see Sneaky sort of building power in this corridor between kind of their two barracks here. We see dogs and knights and an archer, lots of stuff, and a pike. Lots of stuff to fight into Shu's initial army of swords. But unfortunately, the swords can still do decent damage to all of this. They make great body blockers, and there's no reason for Shu not to use them in that capacity, so Shu is still able to push forward, has more units economy. Sneaky is on turn 10, 15 minutes into their chess clock, and I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit more. Alright, so we see that Shu and Sneaky are pretty even on time, but ultimately Shu's clock is a little bit higher. Shu has 2 to 3 minutes on Sneaky. Shu brings down another mage to just continue harassing Sneaky. The strategy is it's okay to trade evenly or even a little bit less than evenly, just as long as Sneaky cannot retake those corner villages. It's always worth it for Shu to fight there. And Shu's double dragon gives Shu the center control where they have their commander. And ultimately, Sneaky's harpies will become useless in the late game when mages can just take them out very, very cost effectively. Shu's bringing that knight over to the left in the northwest to start taking back some corner villages, and Shu still has that center village there. So with a better army comp and better positioning, Shu certainly has the advantage going into turn 10, with both players 15 minutes down on their respective clocks. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Like I said, guys, it took me and Shu an hour just to fight this match, more. I think the full time was like an hour and 16 minutes for this entire match. This was the semifinals in the world, guys. This was an epic match. Alright, so Shu is still repositioning units, and ultimately forms a nice wall. It looks like Shu's trying to move on those northwest villages and get a bit of an advantage there. Hold on a second, I'm just going to check the chat real quick. Oh, thanks, Tetrakistan. I appreciate it, and I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. It's my first time seeing it. Tetrakistan. In any case, thanks. I appreciate it. The compliment there. This is being streamed, guys, for those of you who are on YouTube. I've started doing some YouTubes on stream first, so if you want to see me make a complete fool of myself and do all the stumbling on my intros, check me out on Twitch. Alright. So Sneaky's moving forward, sort of trying to fill up that corridor between their barracks with lots of dogs and a couple of units to maybe push out, maybe threaten Shu's stronghold. Shu's definitely pushed out a little bit away from Sneaky's stronghold, but definitely with the dragon threat, Sneaky's got to be careful not to let themselves be lethaled here, which would be very bad. Sneaky going in big to try to do some damage to that mage, to try to push forward, and just make trades as much as possible, even though Shu has been harassing Sneaky off the southeast villages. Sneaky's been able to make trades there that were a little bit good, and just trying to force Shu off those villages so Sneaky can take him back. There's a thief that's getting ready to grab one of the villages because Sneaky doesn't have a lot of power there, and something needs to take them down. Shu's double dragons are finally getting threatened off by the fact that Sneaky has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mages on the field, plus an archer, plus 2 harpies. so much anti-dragon power on the map right now, and we see Sneaky finally forming a front against Shu's. We see like this squiggly line wave front forming between the two armies. Ultimately, Sneaky has the better attacking force, sort of. If the dragons can't go in, then Sneaky's mages have a little bit more range than the swords, but ultimately Shu has more stuff, dragons, control of the road. Sneaky builds a witch and double dogs to try to contend, and is trying to give himself lethal pressure to maybe catch Shu out and kill them if they make a mistake. Sneaky has a very big army here, and despite losing in the early game on the opening, has managed to claw back economy and position, and is finally starting to pressure Shu. Unfortunately, Shu gets that night crit on the corner village, and is able to flip it while holding one of the center villages, and has started working on the other corner as well, which will lower Sneaky's economy again, even though Sneaky just managed to even it up. Sneaky did a good job of playing from behind so far, and holding Shu at bay with a cheaper army of kind of counter units positioned to sort of threaten Shu off. But ultimately, Shu just has too much stuff that was easily able to rotate to the northwest corner, and there's nothing Sneaky can really do to punish that move. The pikes prevent the knight from advancing, the dragons prevent anything from standing on the road. Shu has much better deterrent, and Sneaky is not able to advance. Shu's mage retreats and heals, which will allow it to continue to harass Sneaky and drive Sneaky crazy, and there's not a lot Sneaky can do about it. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. So we see Shu just positioning sort of to threaten Sneaky off to prevent Sneaky from grabbing those southeast villages. Sneaky sort of going in because notice Shu's army is split. This is the critical turn because half of Shu's army is in the northwest. So Sneaky can maybe push the center of the map now and make a play on Shu, force their commander back, force their units back, try to make a play, try to take the corner village, and Sneaky is making their move now, noticing that Shu has half their army in the northwest. Sneaky is making a very big attack with their full force to try to gain some ground. Sorry, I thought I heard something. To try to gain some ground against Shu. Manages to grab the village back. Unfortunately, Sneaky's biggest weakness is attacking with a big formation like this. Sneaky is more of an assassin player, sort of like backdooring their opponents' villages or killing their commander outright. This sort of big kind of attack is Sneaky's biggest weakness and Shu's greatest strength. Shu is a master of this style of engagement, and Sneaky made a few mistakes here. This is one of the reasons Shu wanted to fight on Sidewinder and Sneaky wanted to fight on Open Season, because this is the sort of situation where Sneaky has no choice but to make a big attack in order to try to gain some ground, but this puts Shu right in their element and Sneaky right out of it. One mistake Sneaky made is that mage can be pike crit. One of the pikes can stand on the forest and the other pike can help it get a crit on the mage. Sneaky can also use Shu can also use dragons, their commander, to get some big attacks here, and if they do it right, in a way that they can't be killed, because remember, Sneaky couldn't afford a dragon early game because of the opening difference, a fact that really, really hurts right now while they're fighting on road, so Shu's commander might actually be safe on the road if they can do things correctly. Sneaky brings the witch up to bear as a big, big threat, builds another witch, and is just doing everything in their power to try to make this a good attack. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. It takes a while for that attack to happen. Alright, so Sneaky has a very big, aggressive turn here. Tries to take advantage of Shu going for Econ on the northwest, and also Sneaky is able to take both villages on the southeast. This was a great turn for Sneaky if they did the attack correctly. If Shu is not able to counterattack, then this was a brilliant turn for Sneaky, possibly a game-changing turn. But we'll see what Shu can do, because this is Shu in their element and Sneaky in their worst possible position. Shu goes for a dragon strike on the knight, immediately killing it because of the road. And let's see what they're going to do next. And Koji just dives right in, kills a sword, and gets Groove. Koji has Groove, they're standing on the road, but that's fine because Sneaky couldn't afford a dragon. This is Sneaky without dragons, guys. It's really just Sneaky. There's no dragon. It's just Shu versus Sneaky. The Shui dragon. So Shu goes in, deals some big damage. Now they have to make sure that Koji's safe, because, you know, Sneaky's kind of okay at lethaling, so if Sneaky can get a lethal here, then that might make all this worthwhile. But we see Shu going in with the swords. They're able to do some damage, going in with the pikes. And ultimately, Sneaky just loses quite a bit here. It's just a little bit too much. The dragon actually suicides to kill that archer. Shu, realizing that Sneaky has so much anti-air, the dragon's running out of usefulness, so he just kills the archer, gets it out of the way. He's willing to lose the dragon for it. Brings the knight in, brings all their units in, and has a much bigger attack force here, just taking out tons of Sneaky's units. And ultimately, this really, really big attack almost certainly put Shu in a winning position. Sneaky did not execute the attack into Shu correctly. It was good to notice that Shu had moved half their army out of position, but ultimately Sneaky just wasn't quite able to get that attack across. A big part of it was that Shu was able to have dragons because of the early game pressure. So even though Sneaky was able to equalize that a little bit with economy, Sneaky just was not able to push out and get out of that losing position. So Sneaky does their best here to try to kill some of Shu's units in retaliation, getting lots of dog crits. I'm skipping ahead a little bit, guys, because this engagement took like 20 minutes. I don't want you guys to sit here for the full 20 minutes. But ultimately, it just wasn't enough. She was able to counterattack through it with all the rest of the units that remain. Actually, this is YouTube, so in theory, I should be able to like speed this up to like ×2 at least, right? Yeah, there we go. And she was just able to get a really big attack force in Sneaky's face, do tons of damage, get the bombs out, and there's just nothing Sneaky can do at this point to win the game mechanically. Shu would have to make a mistake for the game to end. So I'm going to skip a little bit more. Sneaky's just charging forward with their units, building tons of witches, doing everything in their power to maybe sneak a lethal onto Shu and get Koji Groove, and Sneaky does get very close to Koji Groove. They're going to get it in a few turns, finally kills that mage, sends their thief back, but ultimately Shu just has too much economy, has the army, can keep pushing. There's not a lot Sneaky can do. They're just building lots of cheap units and trying to hold the line here for as long as possible. We see Shu going in on some villages, going in on units. This is not particularly tactics anymore. It's just straight attacking in with everything Shu has. Swords slamming themselves into villages, followed up by a knight hit. Just trying to... The mage going after a harpy that got exposed, and Shu is just 600 gold ahead. It looks like Shu is going to end this with a sweeping victory. Koji goes in, huge pressure on Sneaky's barracks. Is Shu going to be able to take it out? Sneaky goes in with crazy witch hexes, doing so much damage to Shu's army. We see double witch hex go off. Double witch hex. So much damage right there. Triple witch hex. Now Shu's army has been reduced heavily. Shu goes in with the dog to deal big damage to the pike and then gets a dog crit on the mage. Sneaky doing some really great damage there, and just takes out the 4-sword because why not? And puts a sword there to stall/bait Koji. And moves their entire army to the other front. That knight is going to have to force these swords to retreat. Nothing Sneaky can do about that. And they're moving Koji forward with Groove. Sneaky's trying to get a kill on Shu here, maybe with Koji bombs and 3 witches, because you know 3 witches is a magical number. But Shu just brings 3 knights down to bear. Stronghold threat, village threat, brings a mage down for anti-air. And those witches were a pretty impressive attack. Shu's actually starting to retreat some of their units for that front, but Shu's so far ahead right now they don't really have to fight it. Shu actually puts Koji in the balloon, balloons him all the way over there, and then builds a defensive formation around Koji because Shu is terrified that Sneaky might somehow pull off a lethal in this situation, so they just evacuate their commander and put like all of their units in front just to keep Koji safe. Using the bombs to form like a wall. Shu is very, 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 very scared after that and wants to make sure that they can close the game cleanly and they do not get lethaled by a Sneaky lethal. Alright, so we're going to skip ahead. There's really not much Sneaky can do in this situation. They're just doing their best to try to kind of hold off and push out, but she was able to deal too much damage with the Knights. She was even forced to... Sneaky was even forced to use Groove. Now the bombs are out, but they can't really do anything. And ultimately, Shu can just kind of move their army forward. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, guys. So Shu with a huge econ advantage, and Sneaky still fighting, still doing their best to hold on, kind of positioning with a defensive bomb formation here, just trying their best. But Sneaky basically has no choice but to expose their commander here, to try to set up a desperate trap to see if Shu falls into it, builds a dragon, but Shu doesn't fall for it, goes for the safe lethal, and Sneaky loses game 1. That was just game 1, guys. That was just game 1. Oh my goodness. I forgot how long these games were. These were intense matches. Alright, we're gonna go into game 2. Here we go. So this is open season. Remember, Shu won the coin flip, so we were doing twice on Sidewinder, once on open season. Open season is Sneaky's map. This is my favorite map of the entire tournament, guys. I don't even know if I ever lost a tournament game on this map. I don't think I did. I don't think I lost a tournament game on this map. So, just so you guys know, we banned, like, I don't know, 7 or 8 things plus Yoda. We didn't really have a lot left after all the bans. So I went Twins and Shu went Dark Mercia. Now, Twins are really good on this map. I don't think Shu knew that, because they were not prepared on this map. Like, I wasn't that familiar with Sidewinder, Shu was not as prepared on open season, so I think they didn't realize that Twins were good here. Alright, we're gonna see Sneaky go for a pretty standard opening here, just grabbing villages, and oh yeah, this is where I mess up. So, I did this opening 1,000 million times, guys. This is my best map. I made a mistake right there. You see how I used the 4 commander to capture that village? I was supposed to heal the commander this turn. That was supposed to be a heal. I messed up. I was so nervous fighting in the semifinals against Shu that I made like this ridiculously goofy mistake while I was going for a rush strategy. Do you know how bad it is to lose momentum? To lose a turn of momentum when you're going for an HQ rush? It is so bad. I was shocked, and, like, surprised at myself. Like, what did I just do? Watch what Shu does with their commander. That's what you're supposed to do. I just completely blanked. I was so nervous after that first match. Alright, well, watch what Shu does with their commander. Come on, come on. I think Shu was actually thinking about it, like, do I mirror Sneaky here? That's not right. Why is Sneaky doing that? Like, just didn't realize that I just up and made a mistake. Yep, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what I should have done, and I fell a turn behind because I didn't do that. Whoops. Alright, that being said, I tried not to let it deter me. I just kept capturing villages, doing my thing. There are a lot of ways you can get the rifle out and kill that village. I like using swords and dogs to do it. It's very cheap, very efficient. Their timing on the battlefield is okay. I go for a knight here, but I've got to watch my health because, like, I need to heal my commander, so I just build a dog on the other racks, because, like I said, I like using swords and dogs to free the rifle. And I use the last rifle shot on the gate. Probably unnecessary. I know some people like saving the last rifle shot. I don't. I think that it's better to have all 3 shots, but that's just a difference in strategy. For me, I like having 3 shots as opposed to saving a crit. Alright, so I heal my commander a turn late, which means that sword over there will be able to harass me a little bit, unfortunately, based on the positioning of everything, but that's alright. So Shu has Dark Mercia, I have Twins. It's medium charge versus slow charge. Dark Mercia can be very potent on this map if you get into a commander versus commander duel, because of the lethal potential. Honestly, Dark Mercia is not a bad commander. Dark Mercia is a good commander. It's just there are other commanders that are much better. But we banned all of those commanders. So Dark Mercia is actually a pretty scary commander, and one of the reasons that they kind of work into Twins is because you can use Groove to harass everything that the twins use for their fire setup and then go in. So sort of like a mini Ragna or a mini Sedge, you could kind of use it as a siege breaker, or a lethal if it gets into dueling, and the twins are terrible at dueling. They can't duel if you attack them. So if Shu could get sort of like a dueling position on me or force pressure on my HQ, I would be in so much trouble with this matchup. So I'm trying to set up Fire Cheese as quick as I can, even though I missed a turn, which was pretty bad. I've got the dog set up on the gate and use swords to break it. Now my rifle's free. I want to reload and heal my rifle, so I'm going to reload it, and then use the sword to grab the village, and then the other sword can just move forward. Now I've got a small army that can defend against Dark Mercia, or stall at least, while I set up my real strategy on the other side of the map. For Twins Cheese to work, by the way, you need 2 knights, at least, minimum. The idea is that you have 2 knights, incident on the HQ, and when the fire is at a certain point, they can both crit the HQ unstoppably for an instant win. But you have to set it up, and there's definite counterplay to this. I was banking on the fact that Shu hadn't played against the twins that much, didn't know the counterplay, and I could set up the HQ cheese better than Shu could defend it. Because one of Shu's weaknesses is that they play very, very defensively. Even when they're attacking, they pull back. They don't go as far forward as they could necessarily. And against the twins, that's the worst thing you can do. So I figure twins would be very, very good, because if you try to play like that against me, I'll just get Fire Cheese and win. Now Shu immediately starts setting up pressure on my HQ, which is very scary. It's the last thing I wanted, and I'm getting very, very nervous because my commander's a little bit behind. I got stalled a lot. So I've really got to start moving forward and making my play. Otherwise, if Dark Mercia gets in front of my HQ and I can't stop it, I basically lose. One good thing is that Shu built a lot of pikes and swords, so their entire army so far is going to be really weak to my rifle, which will let me get some very good defensive rifle positions up, and hopefully let me defend my HQ here. And also, guys, since this game took quite some time as well, I might skip ahead during some of the slower bits. So realizing that I just need to press forward and I gotta get Groove, I don't even capture that village, I just decapture this one and immediately get Groove. The 7 sword can go back and cap that other village on its next turn. This is fine. Now I have Groove, now I can start pressuring Shu. I've got double knights here. That's everything I need for the Stronghold Cheese attack. With 2 knights and fire, I can put up a threat on the purple HQ, and also I can threaten Dark Mercia from getting too close to my HQ, because I could just put the knights in this middle area to the left of my HQ, and then they can hit anybody who charges me. So I've got the perfect offense and the perfect defense, and there's nothing Shu can do about it. That's my plan. I'm gonna skip ahead just a little bit here, guys. Alright, so I build a mage. Mages are really, really good because if the knights get harassed, they can get healed by the mage, and I also build a witch. The reason I wanted a witch here was because I wanted as much to threaten Dark Mercia as possible. I don't want her to start attacking my stronghold and open up a weird front on me while I'm prepping this attack. And also, I want a quick way to be able to kill Shu's air units if they start getting used to harass me. Shu has double balloon. A witch has a lot of movement and some great air kill, plus lethal potential, so I figured it would be a really nice thing to have. I even sacrifice a land build for it just to get a witch this turn. Also, since Shu has no anti-air, this witch is additionally an immortal blocker, so I could, for example, shove it in front of my HQ, and then there wouldn't be a ton that Shu could do here. I could even set up a surround or a trap with the witch if she went in too deep. So Shu chose not to go in here, possibly scared off by my army of knight, crits, rifle, witch, and everything else I got here. Plus, if you get surrounded while there's twins fire on the table, you just die. But they start getting some good economy, farming some good Groove. Dark Mercia is really close to Groove right now. I think they're like at 75 or something right now. Well, that makes sense because I'm medium, they're slow, I get Groove a turn earlier. I've really got to start setting up my fire and making my move before Shu can push into me. And that's sort of my strategy here. Normally on open season, I like to win outright. Just kind of get economy, get a bigger army, push forward, get more economy. But with twins into Dark Mercia, and because I messed up on that first turn, or second turn, I guess, it's a little bit hard to do. Ultimately, you really got to watch out for the fact that Dark Mercia is just a better duelist than the twins are. You don't want to fight Dark Mercia head-to-head. You need to use the fire for pressure, or you're going to lose that. So I really had to commit to the stronghold strategy at this point in the game, especially since Shu just took some decent economy against me, and I had to make a move. Now, Shu has a lot of pikes, which are really defensive, but also really, really slow, so that puts my rifle in a great position. And they also build an archer, which is really good against the twins because you can kind of maneuver around the fire and hit things. Now, I could hit this village, I could go for any number of things, but what I really, really, really want to do right now... Oh yeah, I go for a nice safe night hit on that village. There's nothing they could really do to punish that. What I really want to do right now is throw down my fire immediately, so I can start setting up for my HQ kill. That's the play I want to make. I got to get my knights in position and get everything I need to support them. One thing is that I want mages near my knights so that if they get damaged, I can heal them up. This is really important when you're playing twins and going for this strategy because otherwise just a little bit of harass, a witch hex, could stop the entire attack and then your opponent can just walk into you and win. So I want some mages near my knights. I need air kill to stop any air units from being blockers. And I need an army. I need an army so that Shu cannot move onto my position when I'm staging my attack, because I need to hold my ground for multiple turns for this to work. And like, I'm afraid of those units ballooning in. I'm afraid of like everything just marching forward and rushing forward. So now I need to transition my army to my staging area. I put the fire there so that in 2 turns I'll be able to mount my attack. On my next turn I'll have 1 square of fire. On the turn after that I'll have 2 squares of fire. And at the turn after that, I can win the game if I'm set up correctly. And the turn after that, too. So there are 2 turns where I could win the game, theoretically, with proper setup. Alright, so I move my army sort of towards the middle. Really, I want to protect the center of the map and sort of the left side. I want to make it so that Shu will lose their army if they try to attack me here. And so that Dark Mercia can't really do much. And Dark Mercia doesn't really have much they can do. They can, like, send the 7 sword to hit the 9 village and then send themselves in and go in on that. And then, like, back it up with pikes. Honestly, maybe they should have done that. It doesn't seem that bad. But ultimately, my rifle position makes it a little bit tricky. And Twins Fire is set up. I can start getting Groove again now. Half their army's on the other side of the map, so they'd be fighting with fewer units. So Shu decides to try to clump their army together and push out against the twins, which is exactly the opposite of what you need to be doing against twins. You really want to try to flank them, or hit them from a weird angle, or just engage them and put pressure on them, but Shu actually retreats here. And this is why this is a map that plays to my strengths, as opposed to Shu's, because open season is more about aggression. Just attacking, but attacking like kind of behind your opponent, attacking around your opponent, ignoring your opponent and going somewhere else, and lethaling your opponent whenever possible. So unlike Sidewinder, this is a map where the sort of spirit of the map plays to my strengths. So Shu put Dark Mercia on the mountain, which was very clever because I can't kill Dark Mercia in that position. I just don't have enough to do it. Even if I get Commander Knight, Witch Hex, Sword, Bridge, Suicide, maybe even double, it's just not enough to kill Dark Mercia with any reasonable probability, and I'd lose the game if it didn't work. So that's a really, really good move by Shu, because Dark Mercia can threaten to come down and drive me off of my Knight positioning. By the way, since the thing I do on this turn is really intense, I'm debating making an entire video around the twin strategy I do, because there's this one critical turn where even the commentators... I spent like 15 minutes on it, and even the commentators couldn't keep up with what I was doing, because there's just so much involved in that crazy turn. Alright, so the fire's starting to spread. My biggest fear is Dark Mercia coming down and smacking something. And also I want Groove again. So I send the twins left to hit that village to get some Groove. I use a rifle, just straight up kill a pike. Really nice snipe. And now I want to block off Dark Mercia. And I realize I could just put my Witch here and Hex. Get a really nice Hex off. And nothing can kill that Witch. The Archer would have to position themselves awkwardly to hit the Witch and not die to my fire. Dark Mercia can't really go around the Witch without standing in an awkward spot. I got Hex off. This was a really sweet turn for me. And I'm also able to kind of surround and do a little bit of damage over here. Now I also want to watch out for those balloons. The last thing I want, is for those balloons to just suddenly drop an army in my face. Attacking that village with my commander might have been a bad move in retrospect, just because it puts me a little bit away from where I wanted to be. And I don't think it's reasonable that I would have gotten second Groove again in time, though it's definitely possible. So maybe I shouldn't have gone for that, but it gave me a bit of econ, it gave me a bit of pressure. Putting my commander there certainly threatens things and impacts how Shu has to play, so I'm not completely sure. But I might have wanted to keep the commander a little closer. Now, my knights are not in position to crit the stronghold yet. One of them is, actually, but the other is not. And the reason is because they don't have to be yet. They don't have to be in position until the final turn. So I have that dog in a spot where Dark Mercia can hit it, but it's on flagstone, so it won't die. So if Dark Mercia wants to stand next to the koi pond, that's that river tile in the middle, where units can just suicide into you and hit a sword and not kill it, which is really, really dangerous. She's welcome to, but I have so much threatening her if she does that it could mean instant death. I build a balloon here. It probably should have been a Witch, really. I think a left-facing Witch would have been more impactful than a right-facing balloon, because I could have threatened another Hex, another balloon kill. I think on that turn I just should have skipped builds and made a left-facing Witch, because this is a game-ending position, and the Witch, ballooning a sword isn't going to change anything, but having a Witch that could fly over there and do work would be important. So now Shu has to figure out what they want to do. I didn't leave them a lot of room to move with. I didn't leave them anything in range they can attack. I think that rifle could maybe hit my sword if it really, really wants to, but it's on a mountain, so it'll live. And Dark Mercia sort of moving in position to attack the knights if I put them in setup position, and sort of maneuvering around the fire. Because remember, anything on that fire on my turn will die. And this is the critical turn. Shu has to set up to stop me on the next turn from positioning such that Shu can't wipe me, otherwise I win the game on my next turn. So we're playing thinking about several turns in advance here, and Shu has got to position themselves in a way to drive me off on their immediate next turn, or they lose the game. That being said, they put a lot of their units kind of far to the left. What that does actually is set up some interesting lethals on my commander, but since I'm trying to crit the stronghold from the middle right, it doesn't do a lot for Shu that those pikes are all the way over there. Part of the problem being that my fire was in the way. So they were able to get a rifle shot on my sword, but of course it didn't die because it's standing on a mountain. Now Shu gets a very, very big formation of units there, and this is why this map plays more to my strengths than Shu's weaknesses. It's too defensive. It's too far away from me. It will stop me from attacking into it, but it won't stop me from doing what I need to do on my side. It doesn't threaten me quite enough. Now, I might do an entire video on this turn, because straight up, I kid you not, this turn took 15 minutes. That's right, this turn took 15 minutes, and at the end of that time, not even the commentators had gone through everything I was thinking, because there's this huge gambit with where Dark Mercia can safely stand, that would prevent the knights from getting in crit position of the stronghold and do enough damage to them so that they couldn't end the game. So I'm going to fast forward considerably. More fast forward. Considerably fast forward, guys, because this turn took a very long time. Okay, wait, hold on. Did he already do the thing? Okay, here we go. So this is how things start off. I spent a lot of time thinking about the perfect knight position to execute the cheese and just win the game. And then I realized that there's actually a better option I can go for. Because after taking even 15 minutes to think about this, I realized that there's something Dark Mercia can do that might result in them getting groove, stopping my knights, and being in a safe position, and allowing their army to press forward. I realized, though, that it might be possible for me to just kill Dark Mercia, and I watched the stream later. Nobody had any idea that that was on the table. Certainly not Shu, who I was playing against. Not the commentators, one of which was Zeronix. Nobody had any clue until I suicided that sword, and then they started saying, like, oh, wait a minute. You know, actually, I wonder if you guys can hear it. Hold on, maybe I can turn on the audio.
But I feel like the best opportunity is, oh wow, is Sneaky going for lethal here? Like, I can't imagine, I don't see anything, but I mean, if Sneaky sees it, then it's gotta work, right?
So I don't know if you guys were able to hear the YouTube volume there, but that was basically, and I did get permission from BarretRTS to play the audio for this. You can find the full video on the Groove of War YouTube. Thanks again to the Groove of War YouTube for letting me use this footage. So basically, that was basically Zeronix and BarretRTS saying that they, even after I did that suicide, that they did not see the lethal, and they weren't even sure it was there, but then they start realizing it after that point, and they start talking about, oh yeah, now I see it. So this was a lethal that nobody saw. Nobody saw even after 15 minutes until I suicided that first sword. It's really crazy. It involves using a 7 sword, sacrificing itself on a pike, so that I could clear the pike and get multiple sides on Dark Mercia. Because remember, Dark Mercia couldn't put anything behind them because of the fire. They thought there was only in front of them where I could hit them because they're protected on the right by a village. But if I can open up on the left side, then I have 3 sides on Dark Mercia, as long as I can kill the village, which I can. So this was a super sneaky lethal. I used the mage to finish off the pike. Now I have 2 sides. If I can kill the village, which I can with this knight, then I'll have 3 sides. So I've got 3 sides right now. Witch Hex. Small optimization here. I should have healed this sword before suiciding it. I didn't, because I thought that I could use the mage instead of the dog for the 3rd hit. But I didn't realize I miscounted for the other mage. Ultimately, it didn't matter though. There was so much damage in this lethal that it's just guaranteed. It's over. And that was GG. And that was the game I took off of Shu in our best of 3, and Shu would eventually go on to be the world champion. Oh. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Alright, so guys, that was my game 2 against Shu. That was on, again, open season. I've got to say, I still think that open season has STA, Sidewinder has STA, but, you know, these were pretty quality maps. I think this was one of the best tournaments for maps that we've had yet. Alright, let's take a look at the final game, me versus Shu. Again, this one was also on Sidewinder because Shu won the coin flip. So unfortunately, I'm back to this gosh darn map, where Shu's defensive tactics generally do better than my assassination tactics. But we'll see. We'll see if I can overcome my weaknesses and take out Shu. I mean, I kind of spoiled it by saying that Shu would go on to become the world champion. Obviously, I don't win this one, but you want to see what I do. Alright, so I use a modified opening here. This is actually a Zeronix opening, where the commander grabs the hideout first. It was the only thing that I could find, or anybody could even tell me, that could have player 1 keep up with second player on this map. The idea is you get earlier thief timing to make up for the econ difference between you, but unfortunately this strategy forces you to miss a build, which is really going to hurt me at some point in the game. But I'll do a little bit better this match because I won't be like 1,000,000 gold behind from the opening this time. Alright, so once again, this match took an hour and 10 minutes. I'm not going to make you guys sit here for that whole thing, so I'm going to speed it up a little. And don't worry guys, my matches against Cleaner Code and Spadia should be a little bit quicker. These ones were the semifinals, so they were recorded in full, and that's why they're just a little bit longer. Alright, so this is a pretty, well, this is just me imitating Zeronix's opening on this map, honestly. I'm just trying to do whatever I can to equalize the differential against Shu, who has a more refined opening, is more familiar with the map, and I don't want them to be like 1,000,000,000 gold ahead by turn 6 again and just have 2 dragons while I have none. So to get around that, going for this earlier thief tactics. Once again, Shu is able to grab the village there, so my mage can't flip it, and their mage can take mine. And they've got the knight coming down. It looks the same as before, but from an econ perspective, I'm doing a little bit better. And I have a knight earlier this time, so I can take out that village and even it up a little bit sooner. I'm going to be skipping ahead because a lot of the opening is a little bit familiar, just with some slight optimizations. So I'm bringing forward the knight. My thief will deposit first this time. I bring an archer to scare off this mage, and I've got 2 swords here, so I can retake this village. Ultimately, Shu decides to go for the center village this time, risking giving me some early groove. And my commander is healed and theirs isn't, so I have that pressure here. I'm going to be doing a lot of skipping, guys. It's the only way to get through this on time. So, Shu has a pretty hefty eco lead after all of that, and they just flat out build a giant. There's not like a ton that I can do about it, but I'm going to start making some plays and try to catch up at this point. So I move forward my archer. Obvious moves first. I steal this village back. That'll do some good work for equalizing the ego advantage. I move my commander forward, but don't cap the village, because I don't want to give him groove right now. And start to just try to build an army that can contend with this giant that now exists. I obviously need a dragon as soon as possible to make this work. So I go for double dog, and then Shu's turns. Shu still has way more money. They have, effectively, if you're looking at the corner villages, 2 more villages than I do, plus 1 in the center. It's really bad for me, but ultimately that'll give Shu some nice, healthy economy that I don't have, and give them the ability to push with their giant. But other than the giant, Shu doesn't have a lot. I've got some dogs, an archer, so, and a healthier commander. Maybe I can make this work. Maybe I can make this work. Shu actually captures the village right in my face and puts a lot of pressure here to make it really risky for me to go after anything and try to get groove. But I really want groove, so it becomes a question of what I can do without dying here. I actually decide to build a dragon here because I need it. It'll give me road control, it'll give me control of this area, and start stacking units. Oh, losing my voice, guys. Stacking units on this southeastern front, and then try to take back my villages this time. Not let Shu just steal away all that good economy. So my mage and my knight start to come down, pressure the center here, because I want to start farming groove as much as I can. I build mage, thief, and I actually do decide to attack the village with my commander. Now, because I did that, I have to make sure I don't get surrounded and die, which is pretty important. The dragon can't get all the way over there and hit everything just yet, so I need to make sure that this is a safe play for me. So I do some checks, make sure I'm good. It's Shu's turn. They decide to just smack me with their commander, give me a little bit of groove, give them a little bit of groove. It'll force me to go back and heal, and it'll put their giant in a really nice position to start threatening me. I don't really have anything over there that can kill the giant, so my dragon probably has to get over there and start doing some work. Shu has a knight kind of threatening the area around my stronghold, but ultimately backed up a little bit because of the dragon, so I can use that to start getting my villages back. Once again, though, I'm starting with a pretty big econ deficit, but it happened after turn 6, so, you know, improvements. Alright, so, my turn here. I retreat my commander, send my dragon forward, decap a village, just trying to keep the economy a little bit as even as possible. Send these swords kind of forward on the southeast to try to grab some villages. Put our archer in position, defended by my dragon. Start moving my thief up to maybe threaten some villages. So I'm just doing everything I can to try to reclaim economy while pressuring this area in front of Shu's stronghold, try to get them to back up a bit. Now it's Shu's turn, and Shu also has a dragon, because of course they have money. They can have dragon and giant at this point. And Shu's got... I was able to harass their knight. I forgot about that. They're just building a bunch of units, some mages to deal with the dragon, because they don't have a ton of anti-air. One mage really doesn't quite cut it. My commander is nice and safe. Lol JK. Actually, I think there was a lethal on me this turn. I'm not completely sure. There might have been. But in any case, it's probably close to a coin flip, which could lose Shu the game if they fub it. So Shu decides wisely not to go for that, because Shu doesn't think it's worth taking that chance at this point in the game. I mean, would you risk the entirety of the semifinals on a coin flip? Where if you lose the game? Probably not. You only do that if you're not winning. Alright, so Shu sort of retreats and transitions and starts taking the corner villages here, which is going to put me at a big econ deficit because I don't have any way to deal with that giant while it's protected by the tower. Even if I send the dragon over there, Shu could just build a witch or balloon a mage over. There's nothing I can do. So the giant, although a little bit out of position, is going to let Shu take back a lot of stuff, and they bring down the dragon to force me off of this village here so I can't keep getting groove off it, and put me in a really awkward spot. Alright, so my turn here. I actually use the thief on the village, even though I know the thief can just straight up die here. It's mostly just to decap it, harass Shu, and sort of force Shu to dedicate something to going in on it. Not sure if that was the best move, but I'm starting to build a lot of power here. I've got a knight, and I can maybe start threatening the stronghold if I can build enough power. Because of Shu's been spamming dogs and swords down the far right side, there's nothing I can do to retake these villages here. I've got to push forward and get the center villages out of Shu's control. Maybe get the northwest villages, because if I don't get some villages, then I'm just going to get overrun on economy once again. But I'm keeping things pretty even, the unit count pretty even, the economy pretty even. Doing a pretty good job of that so far. Unfortunately, that giant of Shu's is just plowing along that front, getting Shu lots of village flips. A lot of value for that giant. Yeah, Sidewinder, guys, Sidewinder, not my map. Zeronix was able to pull off wins from the weaker P1 position. I don't know how. I don't know what magic they used. I saw the matches, I still don't understand it. I gotta, like, study Zero and what they did on this map. But yeah, like I was saying before, this is kind of where Shu shines, a very, very defensive map, where you don't really have to attack, you can just kind of fight defensively, and that's enough to take villages. Very proper play on Shu's part. My biggest weakness is a Wargroover, and there's not a ton I could do here. What I wouldn't have given for playing this last game on open season instead of Sidewinder. Alright, so Shu kind of rotates a little bit towards the center. Once again, it's starting to look like with the giant out of position, I should make a big push. Because we all know how good I am at big pushes, right guys? The Sneaky Dragon is not a lethal player. No, they're great at big pushes, right guys? So realizing that Shu's out of position, I try to start pushing, because that went so well last time. But that's what you're supposed to do when your opponent's kind of out of position. You push forward. I try to be a little bit more careful this time. be a little bit more conservative, keep my units a little bit safer. And just try to go aggressive. These swords and all this right here, this is really just trying to keep this last village safe. There's no way I can push into that dog, that knight, that mage. So the south right is out of my control. The northwest is out of my control. I have to make a move on something or I'm just going to lose. So I'm pushing the center. And with knight, a couple mages, a dragon, and Koji that could get groove, I'm hoping maybe I could get a lethal or a commander kill. So by turn 10, we both use about maybe 15 minutes. Shu goes for the knight crit on my archer. I can revenge hit that thing, or I've got the dragon, I've got another archer, but ultimately it was a pretty good trade because it'll do a lot of damage and Shu can throw a lot of units in my face now. I'm feeling pretty pressured by that double dog, double mage knight thing. And Shu just kind of retreats. They kind of retreat, their stronghold looks a little bit exposed, but I can't get to it yet. I'm still not close enough. Alright, so Sneaky's turn here. I'm trying to basically just... There is a way I can just send a mage forward and smack that dragon. Try and do the best I can to make plays here, not give the enemy groove. I go in on the dragon, go for a knight crit on a mage. Later I think I'm going to realize that knight crit was a mistake because sacking my knight there is pretty big. I needed that knight for this push. But still, tons of damage to Shu right now. The dragon's basically neutered. They lost a mage to the knight crit. I'm just trying to push up as much as I can with as much as I can. Big scary attack on the HQ. Just to see what I can do. Dragon go up a little bit, witch go up a little bit. I'm trying to maybe lethal Koji or get a kill on the HQ. And this was the critical turn. But you know me and big push attacks and critical turns. They are not my specialty and they are Shu's. So Shu masterfully takes out this knight, or just does so much damage to it, it's basically useless. Shu has a really, really amazing defense on this turn. Just picks off every one of my units that's essential for what I'm trying to do here, and sets them up in a way that they have a very, very good block on their commander. Very, very good defensive formation. And they basically just set up this line to make it really, really hard for me to hit Koji from two sides. It is possible, but it involves some rolls, which you'll see when I go for the lethal here. Alright, so, really great counterattack by Shu, really great defensive setup. They played that very, very well. There's a reason that Shu is kind of the master of this style of play. And there is not a lot I can do here. I realize I'm losing the game, I'm losing an economy, an army. I've got to go for a lethal here. So I try to end the game with a sneaky lethal, although I don't love it because the odds of this lethal aren't great. It's a shame because if I had groove here, maybe it could have been different, but I needed groove like 1 or 2 turns earlier actually. And I could only just get groove on this turn, but after the counter attack it's too late. I either had to not go for the attack on that turn, or maybe just throw away the mage, or I don't really know, but ultimately, Shu kind of left me with no choice after that, but I had to try for a lethal here. So the way the lethal works is I need 2 sides on Shu, got to get suicides and decently high rolls on my attacking units, which will be the commander and the dragon, and they've got to do enough damage to kill Koji after hexes and suicides. Now, sword on planes is usually a bad suicide. Swords on planes into forest is an okay suicide, but it's still not great. The odds of that working are not great. I think it's less than 50%, but there's still a good chance of it. So my goal is to open up a situation where I can get a sword suicide into Koji, and then follow up with Commander Dragon and Witch Hex. And the only way to do that is a very careful, very elaborate and tactical planned chain of attacks to kill the units to the south and west of Koji. And I'm skipping ahead to the part where that happens. Okay, so I start the attack here. First thing I want to do is consider dog crits, how I want to use the dogs and the swords to clear the mage and the 9 sword. And ultimately I realized that I need to kill the sword with a very particular roll, that 9 sword has got to die to, I believe, that dog. And if it doesn't die, then the lethal becomes impossible. It can no longer work. So I'm really, really, really hoping that I'm able to kill the sword, but it's going to come down to a roll. So drop a mage heal to get the dog a little bit more healthy. But as much as I'd like to use that 2 dog as a suicide into Koji, I have to use it into the sword. It does some decent damage there, but I need more here. Because I just don't finish it. It's able to live. The solid 6%. I needed more damage on that attack. I believe it was possible, but ultimately I needed more damage on the doggo suicide, and I low rolled on the attack. Which was rather unfortunate, and it makes this next part impossible because after hexing Koji, there's no way for the sword to suicide. It just can't be done. And if the sword can't suicide, then I can't do sword suicide, mage hit balloon, dragon strike, Koji strike. But honestly, this lethal wasn't super likely from the beginning. It relied on that sword dying, it relied on the sword suicide working, and then it relied on high rolls after that. The odds of this thing were pretty dang low, and it was more of a last-ditch kind of effort that could have worked. It could have worked. And Shu did expose themselves to a lethal that could have worked, but it was too unlikely to call it a good lethal. And getting unlucky at that part, the dog part, was unfortunate. The dog part I think I had good odds on, and I just low-rolled both things that should have done that, but at the end of the day, it's fine. Shu definitely played this very well. They were definitely way better than me on Sidewinder. And Shu ended up taking the championship after this. So I went 1-2 against the world champion in our best-of-3 set in the semifinals. Not bad. Not bad. I need to learn to attack for the next Wargroove tournament. If I could just learn to attack, maybe I could have broken out of these situations. Time to study Zeronics, I guess. Alright guys, well, as promised, that was my best-of-3 set against Shu in the semifinals for Wargroove, GoW of War 5 World Tournament. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I am losing my voice. Like, for real, it's like getting froggy now. Yeah, I just attacked that for the YOLOs. That wasn't going to kill anything, and then I just surrendered. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And, yeah, I'll try to upload my best-of-3 sets against Spottius and Cleaner Code. Spottius, I believe, did end up coming in 5th place. I think they beat Sequoia for 5th place. And Sequoia almost beat Zeronics, and Shu did beat Zeronics, and I went 1-3 against Shu and beat Spottius, so I feel really good about my performance in this tournament. Like, for real. I feel like this was the best I've ever played in a Wargroove tournament, and thank you guys so much for supporting me and the channel and watching these videos. I hope you enjoy all these videos. And stay tuned, welcome to Wargroove. Oh yeah, and again, thanks to the GoW of War YouTube for letting me use the footage, and BarretRTS for letting me use the footage. Check them out. That's all for now. Comments in the description. Welcome to Wargroove.